What's a hobo pack? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Ken Johnson. Today we're going to do something special. This is something my parents used to do when I was a child. They're called hobo packs. So what's a hobo pack? Basically, it is a way for you to make your own meals, and you cook them up as a hobo would. Now, hobos are kind of unique in Americana. They became very popular during the time of what I call the railroad age. So just after the War of Northern Aggression, and then all the way up into the 1980s. Railroads were a vital part of transportation. And so railroad companies in the early days would hype up regional diversity. And so, like, if you ever had ambrosia salad, it was a northerner that actually created ambrosia salad, and then she created a recipe book that the railroads used to promote certain areas of the country like the Deep South. And so they would make these recipes that were supposed to be authentic, and a lot of them were not, like ambrosia salad. They would make them, and then they became popular to a point that as generations passed, it became our recipes, it became our dishes, even though it wasn't beforehand. So the hobos were basically migrant workers, vagabonds, and they would travel by the rail systems illegally from stop to stop to stop. They would try to find work. They would normally be given like some produce or stuff from like farmers and things of that nature if they were working as a farmhand for a while, or they would steal. So if somebody had a garden or something like that, they might, if they saw nobody was looking, they might take something. That happened. These again were migrant workers, so you have to think that wasn't probably the best of people at times, but they were romanticized. So as a child, I remember seeing hobos. We used to see them all the time, and there was a train railroad near my house, and you could see them, and that was common. You had music singers like Boxcar Willie that he would dress kind of like a hobo. He would use those train sounds. This was like in the 80s and before, and so he helped capitalize on that romanticized notion of a hobo. So anyway, there's no set recipe to this. You just basically take whatever you got, whatever you could get, you wrap it up in some tin foil, and then you put on some coals. So that's what we're doing. This is a great thing to do, especially now. This is October 10th. I did this October 9th. This is a great way of like if you're outside and you got a campfire going, or you're camping or whatever, you can do that. Everybody can make their own packet the way that they like to do it. If you don't want to do it on the coals, we used to do it at my house, put them on a sheet tray, put them in the oven and bake them. It would work just as fine. But this is how I do them, so stick around. For my hobo meal pack, I've got roughly a pound of sausage. This is deer sausage. Really, any meat can work. You can use chicken, pork, whatever you like. But I always like to use something inexpensive, and I had deer sausage. So there we go. I'm adding 1 egg. Some oatmeal's being added next. That's roughly 1 egg and a 1/4 cup of the oatmeal. Now I'm adding in about 2 tablespoons of minced onions, dried minced onions. Now I'm adding in a tablespoon granulated garlic, about 2 tablespoons of dried parsley, a tablespoon of ranch dressing powder, and about 1/4 cup of milk. Now I'm adding in a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce, just a squirt of ketchup, about half tablespoon, a squirt of mustard powder, or mustard, yellow mustard. I'd say about a teaspoon or so, not a lot. There we go. Now we'll mix this up. Now to some tin foil. I've just separated meat out into quarters, made it into a kind of elongated patty. I'd say it's roughly about a 1/2 inch thick, and I'd say about 4 inches wide, more or less. Now I've just chopped up a 1/4 of a red onion. You can use any onion, don't matter, and it don't really matter about the size of the cut on this. I kind of make it more rustic, you know, because it kind of be a camping experience, but that's kind of the way I did it. You can see how the cuts aren't that even. So this right here was half a zucchini. The zucchini was roughly about, I'd say, 14 inches long, more or less. And so I just quartered the half piece up and then cut it into slices like that. I took about a 6-inch yellow squash and did the same thing with it. Now about, I'd say, 4 or 5 button mushrooms sliced up. Now my wife absolutely cannot stand carrots. Normally, and she don't like celery, so I put carrots and celery in here, but since we're doing it for our meal, what I'm doing is I took half a small sweet potato. I'm talking about is like 3 inches long, 4 inches long, just a small sweet potato. Cut it in half after I peeled it, and I finally cut it up, finally chopped it. And reason for that is it's going to need time to cook, and it takes longer to cook than the squash. So having the squash in other pieces and big pieces, this will kind of steam it, and it kind of will replace the carrot somewhat. Now I've added a 1/4 of a bell pepper. I've kind of chopped that up just slightly bigger than the sweet potato, mainly just so you got something a little bit different. Texture is a critical part of this dish. I've got some nutmeg here I'm going to season it with, some McCormick's peppercorn medley grinder, sea salt, and I really do recommend using sea salt with this because it makes the vegetables and everything taste sweeter. A little sweet Hungarian style paprika, and just a little bit of granulated garlic. What I do is I kind of fold the edges over. So I'll fold these over, and then I'll fold over again. Now what I do is I fold the edge into a little triangle, and then I fold it over. Now I'll get me another sheet of aluminum foil, and we'll fold it one more time. This time we're going long ways. Now we'll just keep rolling it. So I've already folded it over almost full, and then I'll keep rolling it. Again, when you come to the edges, make a triangle. This time you just roll the triangle up, seal it up, kind of makes little handles to hold on to. You can flatten them out if you want. And that way you got something to grab onto if you need to. Shouldn't need to, but if you ever need to, that's something to grab onto. And this will go on the fire. So I'll make another one for me. This is Tasha's, and then we'll have a few extras for leftovers. If you're going camping, you're making these ahead of time, this is great. So long as you have an ice chest and keep everything cold. What I like to do is I put an S on it because that means supper. And then that lets me know this is the main dish because we're going to do a dessert. So all the ones that are the main dish, they'll be marked with an S, and then the ones marked with a D will be for dessert, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. For our dessert, I've got roughly a pound of red seedless grapes. I'm going to go ahead and half these. Got 3 gala apples that I'm going to cut up core into pieces. Gala apples are cut up, and I'm going to add in roughly about a cup of brown sugar. Now I'm going to add in some nutmeg to taste. Probably about a tablespoon. Now some apple pie spice. I'm just going to put in probably about a tablespoon of that. Now about a tablespoon of allspice. Sea salt to taste. This 6 ounces of pecans I just kind of busted up a little bit. Now a half stick of salted melted butter. Now we just stir everything up. Now we do as before and portion this off into quarters. Roll it up as before. And we roll it up a second time and mark it with a D. That's done. I'll do the other 3 and then we'll start a fire. First thing I'm going to do is put some paper in the bottom. On top of that's our small dry sticks. A stack of gradually bigger pieces of wood to add as the fire builds. Got a piece of fire starter there. I'm going to do a video on how to start a fire, but for right now I got just a little cheater piece of fire starter right there. Go. Alright, now what we're going to do is let this burn down to get some coals. Alright, we got some coals going, so it's time to lay these on the coals. About 20 minutes into it, I added in the dessert, so the desserts are right there, the main course is right there. I'll let this go for about another 15 minutes here, take these off, and then I'll come back and take these off. And I got Tasha and Rebel. They're in the hammock chair, having a good time. There's Dee Dee, Miss Priss. There we got Blueford right there. He decided to come out. I would recommend using either tongs or some type of shovel or something other to get these out. It's best put them on the outside of the fire, not in the fire like I did, but I have a fire pit. These ashes we're going to save, and then later on I'm going to show you how to do some stuff with wood ashes, so stay tuned for a future video with wood ash. Alright, so that was in for about 30 minutes. You can see some of the areas got a little charred, which is common. You're going to have some burnt areas. You're cooking over a fire, but all in all everything seems steamed and cooked to perfection. This is it plated up. Alright, so here's the dessert. We've already had supper. The wife said it was fantastic, so now we're going to try this. And whenever you have a choice, always take your dessert a la mode. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. The wife, she loved it. Oh my goodness, she loved it. The dessert, we did it a la mode. She tore into that. I made 4 packets. And the reason for it is that we wanted leftovers. And so I've got a late mediation today, and so I'm not having to cook. All I gotta do is put it in the oven. And that's one of the beauties of it. It's a very versatile way of cooking. It is a very passive way of cooking, which is nice. Especially if you have a family that's very picky, they can make their own stuff, put their names on there, use a magic marker, put their name on it, and they can eat whatever they like. And you don't have to worry about fixing some big dish or whatever. It's whatever they wanted put in there. If they don't like it, it's their own fault. They made it themselves. So give it a try. If you have tried it, I would love to hear your comments about it. What did you used to do? I did a hamburger steak this time, but you can do whatever meats you like, do whatever vegetables. I did a dessert. Have you done dessert? What did you do as your dessert? I would love to hear this information. If you remember hobos back in the day, I mean, they used to be like school mascots. That they were so romanticized. But I would love to hear all these comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, and I will see you again next time. Bye.